morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, hello. I'm not sure when you're listening to this, but you are listening to the Portsmouth Child Podcast. I'm your host, Alexia Washington, the Public Information Officer for P-Town's finest, the Portsmouth, Virginia Police Department. We serve a community that's not too far from the ocean, not too far from the bay, right on the river, and we're producing this podcast for you, for the people of Portsmouth, so that you know what the vision is from the PPD for the city as it pertains to law enforcement, as well as the plan and how you can play a part in it. This is episode 7, and today we're going to discuss community enhancement with the Portsmouth Police Department. We have a wonderful guest. We have Sergeant Kelly Funkhouser. She leads our community enhancement division for the Portsmouth Police Department. Welcome, Sergeant Funkhouser.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So before we go a little further in the conversation or dive into the topic, can you tell us where you're from?
I'm from Chesapeake.
Okay.
All my life, born and raised.
So you're a Hampton Roads native.
I am.
So how long have you been a police officer?
Almost 17 years.
Okay. Have you done your whole time with the Portsmouth Police Department?
I have.
Okay, that's cool. So what inspired you to become a police officer?
So when I was younger, you know, you'd see the officers out helping people, doing traffic stops, all this good stuff. And obviously back then, being so young, it didn't really click. But I'm like, you know what, I want to do that one day.
Okay.
You know, I want to be able to provide that level of comfort to victims and whatnot. And the old cliche of being able to help people, that is huge. And I've known since I was little that's what I wanted to do. And I actually waited until I was a little bit older to get hired, though, because I applied when I was 29. I got hired when I was 29. I was 30 when I was in the academy.
Okay.
So I'm glad I did, though. I wouldn't change it.
How was that? How was that coming in? Like, because I see that we just, graduated some recent recruits and now they're police officer trainees. Some of them are a little older, but a lot of them are younger.
Very young.
So they're very young. And so how was that with being in a class of people who are like...
They end up kind of looking up to you. I mean, even though the difference might be 6, 7, 8 years, they end up looking up to you and kind of look to you as like a leader.
Okay.
So that was actually pretty neat to have that. And I want to say it kind of prepared me for being a sergeant and being a supervisor as well. I mean, in any leadership role we can take within the department is huge. You learn so much from those.
So before you became a police officer, if you don't mind, what did you do before?
I was actually a jeweler.
Okay. I say that all the time. Oh, I didn't know that. Or I didn't expect that. But I honestly
really didn't.
I didn't expect that. Okay.
But I loved it. It was the pretty shiny things. I mean, it was amazing. And at that point, too, you kind of get to help people. Like you get these guys come in who are getting ready to, propose to their girlfriends or what have you, and it feels really good to be like, this one, I think she'll love this one. And then, they buy that one, they propose, they bring her back in to get it sized or whatever. Right. And she's so excited. It's just, it's really, it's kind of cool to see that follow through. So I love that. I did that for, I think I was 19 when I started in that. So
you went from being a jeweler to being okay, so now I have to understand what made you make that transition. Like, I know you said when you were younger you wanted to help people, you wanted to do that, but then what took you from helping pick out engagement rings and celebrating, milestones to, I am going to do this, I'm going to go to the police academy?
My kids.
Okay.
At the time, like when I was old enough to actually apply and everything, I was concerned that because my kids were very young, I was worried about how am I going to do this?
Okay.
And I was a single mother for a time period there, so I was like, I'm not sure how I'd be able to work this out.
Right.
Make sure that they are taken care of and everything is good with them. So it came to a point where I had the chat with myself. I'm not getting any younger. I've got to do this.
Okay.
So, and by then they were a little bit older, so it all worked out.
That's awesome.
And now my oldest son is an officer here, and he has been here for 8 years, I believe.
How is that working with your son, your child, your baby?
Well, when on the days that, because he's in uniform patrol, he is an FTO, On the days that he works, I don't want to say I don't listen to the radio, but there's some things I tune out.
Okay.
There's been more than once that I just want to take off out of the door, and be right there because I know something's going on, but I can't.
Right.
So I have to trust to know that he knows what he's doing and that he'll keep himself safe. His coworkers will help keep him safe and that everything will be okay. I just have to trust.
Well, I don't know.
It's hard.
That
it's
would
hard.
be hard.
I can tell you the first couple of months was very rough. As a matter of fact, his first day of FTO, we'd had a major event that included one of my officers. She was severely injured.
Oh, wow.
And I was at the hospital that evening, and we were taking a break because it was very stressful. We were standing outside near a police car, and the radio was on. And I happened to have known, obviously, who he was riding with, who his FTO was that night. And I heard his FTO come across the radio, and something about a pursuit and armed subjects. I was done. Once we could tell that everything was calm, I said, please turn that off. I can't keep listening to this.
Right.
So, it's kind of scary. It's obviously gotten easier over the years because he's been here. He's not a new kid anymore.
Right.
So it has definitely gotten easier, but it's still.
You're always a mom.
Yeah, at first.
Right.
First, always.
You're always his mom.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So now you are the leader over our community enhancement division at the department, and you said your son is in uniform patrol, and that's where all police officers they start in uniform patrol.
Yes.
So can you walk us through your career path? You started in uniform patrol, and now you're here. So can you walk us to how you got here?
Yep, I did. I started in uniform patrol just like every other officer here. From there, I went to the community services unit.
Okay.
Which, that's what CED, Community Enhancement Division, used to be. And I was in that unit for 3 years. Back then, we had a few more officers. We had 14, 15 officers. We didn't do exactly what the unit does now, but it was very, very similar. And I actually got promoted from that unit.
Okay.
When I got promoted, I went to uniform patrol. I spent about a year, and then I was moved to the detective bureau. I handled property crimes, a special victims unit, and I had, at the time, SROs fell under the detective bureau, so I had an SRO.
School resource
Yes,
officers.
I'm sorry, school resource officers. From there, I went back to uniform patrol.
Okay.
Spent about 2 more years in uniform patrol. Then I was moved to property and evidence. From property and evidence, I was moved to uniform patrol again. And now I'm back in community enhancement.
In community enhancement. Okay.
And this is all within 11 years, because I've been a sergeant for 11 years.
Okay. So you went from uniform patrol to community service. So what is the difference? Because as I've been interviewing different officers and detectives, it seems like this particular area it changes a little bit. So you started with community services. I heard something about neighborhood impact officers. So what was the difference?
This unit has evolved. It's changed several times. It used to be the neighborhood impact officers, and then it went to community services.
Okay.
And then since I've left that unit, it's changed into community enhancement. When we were considered NIOs or CSU, those were more similar to each other than what it is now. Okay. The units were still had quite a few officers, 13, 14, 15, some around there. At that point, every neighborhood had an officer.
Yes.
Like when I was an officer in the unit, I had Port Norfolk, Waterview, Glen Sheila, and Mount Hermon.
Okay.
There was an officer in Cavalier Manor. We had, I believe it's 3 officers assigned to Churchland. They all had bigger areas because there was only 3 of them.
Right.
But, we had PRHA officers. We had an officer for Old Town. So one for Craddock. So back then, most of the larger neighborhoods had their own officer.
Got it. So you said that there's those two were closer than what community enhancement is. So can you tell us, what is community enhancement? What are the main goals and objectives of community enhancement?
What community enhancement is now is we are first and foremost liaisons from the police department with the neighborhoods. I have one officer per district. So District 1 has Officer Gripper. District 2 has Officer Henderson. District 3 is currently Officer Barnes.
Okay.
Anything that happens within those districts that is, whether it be long-term or something UP that just doesn't have the time to commit to it, or any quality of life issues, we are notified, and that would be a situation that we would take over and handle.
What is quality of life issues?
For instance, we may get a call from an inspector from the city inspections department. Most recently, there was a home in the West Haven section of Portsmouth, and this particular house, the owner is active duty military. She's been deployed for quite some time. The house has been vacant. People had broken into it, and were staying inside. The trees were all grown up around the house. Like you could barely see the house hardly. The grass was almost waist high. There was no power. There's no water, so obviously it is not fit for a human to be staying there.
Right.
And not only that, they were more or less squatting.
Yeah.
And the inspector for that particular area called Officer Henderson and for help because he thought he had seen somebody inside. So we get there, get the details from the inspector. We do go inside and clear the home. We do find an individual. We address that. And basically we stay there for security while they board the house up. They actually cut down the trees and the grass because it was bringing rodents as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's just one example of quality of life issues.
Okay. So as a sergeant, what is your specific role in the Community Enhancement Division?
My biggest role is to make sure that they have what they need to do their jobs effectively.
Okay.
And to back them up, to give them advice or help as needed.
Okay.
And I attend all the events that we go to within the city. I usually attend most of them with my officers as well.
Okay. And so the community enhancement officers, they go to like the Civic League meetings?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then what is their role when they're there at the Civic League meetings?
A lot of times what these civic leagues are looking for is numbers. So before a meeting, the way my officers prepare is they will go through our system and, for the month prior, because most of the meetings are monthly, they will pull the stats for the month within that particular neighborhood, whether it be, a burglary, stolen car, cars being broken into, anything like that. They will pull the incidents and group them together. And if there are details about these incidents that they can disseminate, they will do that. If not, then obviously we'll just say, okay, this happened, and that's all the details we can release at this point.
Got it. Okay, so they're there, they're keeping those who are involved in their neighborhoods or their communities informed of the different incidents that have happened in that neighborhood.
Yes.
With as much detail as they're able to provide. I think I cut you off a little bit when you were discussing like the purpose of community enhancement. You had said about quality of life, but I know like it's summertime, so we see you all riding the bikes in the summer. At the end of the school year, you're going to like different schools. So I know your officers, and you work closely with some of the organizations within the city. So why is that important? Why do you do that? Why is that important?
So that we can get out there to these events and in the neighborhoods and within the schools and let them realize, hey, we're people too. We have a job to do. We're going to do it. We are here for you. Mm-hmm. We can have, the police department can have wonderful relationships with the communities, the people within them.
Right.
We are just kind of the front to that.
Got it.
We can put ourselves out there. Hey, this is what we can do for you. Because there's a lot of things that citizens don't realize that we can do. For instance, security surveys.
Okay.
That is something we can come out and perform and basically do a whole write-up We will show you areas that need improvement within your home, whether it be, your bushes are in kind of a bad area or they're too high. This provides a hiding spot for a criminal if they wanted to.
Okay.
Maybe we need to add a light here, or different things like that. Let's replace these locks or this strike plate with one with longer screws on it, just to make that door a little more secure. So we do offer the security surveys. They're free. So that's just one of the services that we can provide, and just offer that little bit of help.
Right. So this division is also it's community education.
It is,
because that's helping them with the security surveys, safety protocols, giving them advice or guidance on how they can make their property safer. I think earlier this year with our Faith Behind the Badge, we had someone come in and talk about security surveys for churches, how they can make their facilities safer. So that's something that I didn't until I was attending the Faith Behind the Badge workshop or the session, that I didn't know that the police department offer those types of services.
We do it for the churches, and we do it for residents. We do it for businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely. And it doesn't take very long. Like I said, it's not something that we charge. When we gather the information on scene, when we're doing the actual survey, we'll bring it back and we'll do a full write-up.
Okay.
And make sure that's submitted to the residents, just to kind of reiterate everything we talked about while we would have been there.
So I know earlier you had mentioned about the quality of life, working with the city inspectors, see the building, and you're providing the security and making sure the place is safe for them, for the workers to be able, inspectors to be able to do their jobs. What are other ways that you engage with those or the other city agencies or organizations, or you gather feedback to identify areas that maybe might need improvement or need your officers to be out there?
Civic leagues.
Okay.
That's another purpose to us actually going to these meetings. The citizens in the meetings will typically bring up issues to us.
Okay.
I've seen this. I don't know what's going on. It's basically just giving us somewhere to start.
Got you.
I think people are coming to this house after dark. They shouldn't be there. We're having a speed issue. And with things like, for example, the speeding issue, we can contact the traffic unit and have a speed study done.
Okay.
And that's pretty neat, because at the end of the time frame that the system is actually out on scene, it gives us a printout it'll have the number of cars that came through the area during the particular dates that it was out there, the average speed, the highest speed, the lowest speed. So these are things that we can take back to the civic leagues. Okay, well, either, we've got a big problem, we're going to start working on this right now, let's do some traffic enforcement, or, it's just maybe one or two, we'll try to sit out here at certain times and, see what we see.
So I think this is important, because I've seen people make comments, they're speeding through our neighborhood. So it's important that you, one, participate in your civic leagues, that you are able to say that to the police officers, because then you take that information back to who?
Would contact the traffic unit.
Got it.
They would set up the information or set up the system itself, whatever area the complaint's coming from.
Yeah.
And then when that's done, they get the report from the system. We will take that information back to the civic league and be like, okay, well, this is what we have.
Right.
Either, you've got a great big problem, we're going to start working on this right now. Let's see if we can get traffic to help, come out and do some enforcement with us. Or, maybe a checkpoint, not sure. Or this is not, really a concern, but we'll do some spot checks. It is more of a form of maintenance.
Okay.
To maybe catch those couple that are going a little bit too fast.
Okay. So I think also that's important, because I think sometimes people feel like they might say something and then they don't see anything being done, or they think they don't see anything being done. But the truth is that a lot of policing is data driven. So it's not just you'll make the complaint or the concern, which is necessary and is needed, and then the officers are going to bring it back to a traffic unit. It's going to set up the system, and they're going to actually track how many vehicles are speeding through the neighborhood. And then based on the information that comes out is what the next steps are. The next steps are decided based on the data that's happened when they were tracking from that set time. So I think that's important for people to understand that they do hear you. They do take the information back.
We do.
They do run the speed studies, and then they act accordingly to the data. And that's important to know. I think this is a good time for us to take our first community break. And when we return, we'll talk about some of the challenges that community enhancement officers face when trying to develop relationships with the community.
Are you considering a career in law enforcement? Sign on today as a Portsmouth police officer and receive up to $1,500 if you're already Virginia certified. We offer a $1,000 allowance for a bachelor's degree and a $500 allowance for an associate's degree on top of your base pay. Officers can also earn additional income on time spent in court and at community events. Visit our website at portsmouthpd.us for more information on how to apply.
National Night Out will be here before you know it, so mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 6th, and join us at Festival Park for the ultimate community gathering. That's August 6th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Festival Park. See you at National Night Out.
So we're back with Sergeant Kelly Funkhouser. She is the sergeant over our Community Enhancement Division, and we were talking about the importance of attending your civic leagues, being involved in the community, and sharing the information about your neighborhood, what you've seen, what your concerns are with your officers, because they really do take that information back and discuss it with the correct different set of officers who are going to address that problem. And so what strategies do you use to build community trust?
We attend the civic leagues.
Okay.
Any events that the neighborhoods may host that we're invited to, we try to attend every single one of those. It just kind of puts us out there in the middle of the community to make contact, to have conversations with the citizens that we might not normally have. Any event that organizations may have within the city too, especially our churches and our faith-based groups, we attend those just to get us out there and to, again, make the contact and build the relationships.
Okay. Because building relationships, it's important because it's a preventative measure.
It is.
If you have the relationships with the people within the neighborhoods that you're serving or you're patrolling, then they're going to feel more comfortable giving you information if something does happen. So what are some of the common challenges that you face as part of the Community Enhancement Division?
Like the other units within the department is staffing.
Okay.
I currently have 3 full-time officers.
Okay.
I have 3 auxiliary officers.
Okay.
One of my auxiliaries is out due to an injury, but sometimes it's a lot for 3 full-time officers. I'm absolutely grateful to have those auxiliaries because they are a huge help.
Right.
And they do a wonderful job, but staffing is one issue.
Okay. And auxiliary, when you're saying auxiliary, that's a volunteer police officer. So
it is. It is an officer who is trained just like we are.
Right.
The only difference is they do this for free.
Right, because they go through the academy and everything to be an auxiliary.
They do.
Officer.
They absolutely do. And now it is a longer, whereas our academy is every day.
Yeah.
For, I think we're at 20 weeks now. But theirs is spread out over evenings.
Okay.
For instance, one of my auxiliaries is a chief in the Navy. He couldn't go to academy every day. So he went, I believe it's 3 evenings a week, and then on Saturdays, until he was completed.
Wow.
Or until his training was completed.
That's commitment.
It is.
That's commitment.
It absolutely is. But does a great job.
So that's important. So the community enhancement officers, there's 6 people part of your team, on your team. and you're covering a lot of that's a lot of neighborhoods for 6 people, but it's necessary to do that. And I want to say that because a lot of times people will leave comments like on Facebook because they don't understand, like, well, why are police officers doing coffee with a cop, or why are they doing all these community events? Because in their minds, a police officer is in their car, they're writing tickets or they're arresting bad guys, but that's not the total or the sum total of being a police officer. Relationships with your residents, relationships with the neighbors, the people within the neighborhoods, that's essential for a thriving city. It's essential for a successful police department.
It is. And obviously, first and foremost, we are still officers and sergeants.
Right.
We do go out there and write the summonses.
Right.
We do the traffic stops. We do the directed patrols within the neighborhoods. We respond to calls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of days that we go and help UP because it is just so busy.
Yes.
To help just alleviate some of the calls that are holding. We'll answer those calls, absolutely. But our primary focus is to build the relationships, to attend the Civic League meetings, to go to the events, to organize coffee with a cop, and have the neighborhoods just come out.
Right. Have
the conversation with us. And again, see that we are people too.
Right.
We have a job to do.
Right. And it's essential. And that's part of why you are spending a lot of time planning National Night Out. Can you tell us a little bit about National Night Out?
National Night Out is now, for our department, held at Festival Park in front of the pavilion. We have a band, Second Wind, will be playing. We have several food trucks. We've got vendors, informational tables from different businesses, free popcorn, cotton candy, free snow cones. Our recruiter will be there as well with information. We will have giveaways. There's raffles. We have a gamer bus. The Humane Society will be there with animals that are available for adoption. We have a dunk tank with hopefully some city leadership will be in the dunk tank.
Okay, that's exciting.
It is. It really is. We'll have our traffic unit motorcycles, mounted patrol. We'll have a canine demonstration. The SWAT vehicle will be there.
People love the SWAT vehicle.
Absolutely. The fire department will be there as well.
They love them too.
They do. Sparky, their mascot, will be out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is basically the department's going away party for crime.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what is the purpose of National Night Out?
The purpose is to bring the city and our department together.
Okay.
In a relaxed environment. We come out here, we have a good time, we make contact with people, we have great conversations. Just come out, hang out with us, have a good night. It runs from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Hopefully the weather will be amazing this year like it was last.
Okay.
Just have a good time with us. It will be so much fun. We have a ball at these things.
So National Night Out, that's going to be August the 6th.
Yes.
From 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then she's not just planning that, though. She has the Powell Summer Camp is going on.
Yes.
The students this week, it started this week. They've already been on like 2 or 3, I think, field trips this week. They went to the zoo one day. They went to a movie another day. They went somewhere else. I thought they went somewhere else this week, too.
How we have set this up is on Mondays, the older kids go to the YMCA to go swimming.
Okay.
On Tuesday, there's a field trip. For instance, this week, we went to the zoo on Tuesday.
Got it.
On Wednesday, the younger kids go swimming. And on Thursday, everybody went to Cinema Cafe to see the Smurfs.
Okay.
And we don't have camp on Fridays.
So they have a good time.
So we have a full week.
Yes.
We do serve them breakfast and lunch.
Okay. So it's a full camp. It's a full camp.
It is a full camp. We have 35 kids this year. They range in age from 6 to 15.
Okay, that's a lot.
So we've got it's fun though. We have a good spread. Everybody gets along. In between, like on the days that they go swimming and there's nothing formal planned for the afternoons, we take them over to the gym of the school that we're at, and we'll go play dodgeball. Mm-hmm. We'll play basketball. We'll go in there and kick soccer balls around. But they have got to be tired. Just as tired as we are when we leave.
And I'm sure the parents thank you.
They
thank you for that.
They seem to absolutely love that. Yes.
Thank you for that. And so then there's lots of events. I think there's something today. There's a a bike ride today, and there's like a walk that's happening tomorrow?
Yes, tonight or this evening we have the Cavalier Manor bike ride, and then tomorrow the event is actually at the pavilion, but the walk itself will start at the court, and we'll finish at the pavilion where us and several other informational tables will be out there. There will be some giveaways by the organization as well. So
it's just community enhancement. The community enhancement division is busy throughout the year. In the fall, I think early September, you have an event for the seniors that you're planning, and then it just continues on till you have a season of.
It slows down about January.
So I thought that she was finished. I was going to say you guys finished in September. Right around the Labor Day, but you just keep going until January, and you have. What do you guys do? Something in October?
We do. We start in August with the back to school events.
Yes.
Those typically run through September.
Okay.
In October, all the trunk or treats start. We attend a lot of those throughout the city. And then towards the end of October, when the city has its own trunk or treat, we set up a haunted house, which is very involved. It's a lot of work, but we take the hospitality center at the pavilion and turn the whole thing into a haunted house.
People love a haunted house.
It is. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of late nights, but it is so worth it. We get tears, screams, laughs, people running, all ages. We have a good time with that. It's amazing to see the finished product and the reactions that we get.
Okay.
In November, we start, especially around Thanksgiving, we start the holiday deliveries, which our unit has a program called Faiths Behind the Badge.
Right, yes.
And that program participates with many, many churches from the city. We meet monthly, whether it be in person or on Zoom. We do informational sessions.
Right.
We help them out with a lot of their events. But around Thanksgiving, we do holiday meal deliveries.
Okay.
There are several, usually 20, 25 families throughout the city who are selected, and a church will say, okay, well, we want this family and this one, and maybe this one too, and we will assist them on delivery day. We go with them and make sure everything is okay, that they have everything they need for the deliveries, and, families will have a full Thanksgiving meal, and I mean a full Thanksgiving meal, probably for the next week, usually. It's a lot. Yeah. But we have a lot of churches that participate in that. Then as we get closer to the Christmas holidays, the same thing. Full meals for Christmas and gifts for kids.
Okay.
And our unit also sponsors a family for Thanksgiving and for Christmas.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's very rewarding.
Now,
very.
Citizens, they can attend the Faith Behind the Badge, which meets on Thursdays. But can they volunteer specifically to help with those different events that happen in the holiday season? That's
absolutely.
Awesome. And so Faith Behind the Badge is an ongoing. That's a year-long program.
We've had this program for several years now, and it's nice to have that connection with the faith community.
Yeah.
Anything they may need, they help us out with a lot of events. Like you will see for National Night Out, you'll see several of the churches with informational tents set up. So it's really exciting to have a group like that is so willing to help us out and participate.
Yeah, it's nice because a lot of during the Faith Behind the Badge meetings, they usually have some kind of speaker that will come in and will provide education for the people who are participating. But then a lot of those same people who participate in Faith Behind the Badge will come out and help us pass out resources during our reset walks. They'll also come out and do the same when we have our community walks. So it's a really good program, and it's just essential for a thriving city to connect with all the different spheres within a community, within a city, that's going to help its residents and its citizens thrive. So is there any training that a community enhancement officer goes through?
Yes. To start with, a newer officer to the unit will ride with someone who's senior. For instance, recently, Officer Griffer is a newer addition to our unit, and he rode with and shadowed Officer Henderson for a while, for a few weeks, until he kind of got the hang and learned the ropes of things. But we do have different trainings we can go to. There's crime prevention training in general. We can attend classes and become certified to handle the security surveys.
Okay.
And I believe it was end of April, 2 of my officers attended a class on locks.
What do you mean? What kind of locks?
Door locks, basically, in any type of lock. And basically what this was, it was a class where the instructor was showing how locks can be defeated.
Oh, okay.
And providing prevention tips that we can carry back to our residents and our citizens.
Okay.
So that, maybe we can reinforce this a little bit better, or switch to a different kind, or let's do this different just to make your home or your vehicle a little bit safer.
Got it. Now, I know that in Portsmouth right now, the sheriff's department kind of is over the schools as far as law enforcement, but do you all still do like any of, like, I think there's I always want to say Scruff McGruff, but like the McGruff crime fighting, do you guys do any of the prevention programs for the schools in that way, or can they call you and you all come out and do something like that?
Yes, we just had a couple of those at the beginning of the month. Actually, it was Douglas Park Elementary and Craddock Elementary had field days.
Okay.
Well, the coordinator for their events contacted us and asked if we could bring McGruff to their field days and come hang out with them, and we did that. That was a lot of fun. Kids loved them.
Yes.
Absolutely loved them. So we do things like that. We're currently in the works with the same planner for creating some other programs to bring into the elementary schools, some prevention programs.
Okay.
One we currently do is called GREAT. Basically, that is a gang resistance program.
Right. Okay, I've heard about that one. Okay.
And that is that will start when school does again, and we host that at Brighton Elementary School.
Okay.
We are trying to add another school to that this year as well.
Got it. Okay. So you do some programs are for the schools, and then from just talking about that briefly, organizations can call the Community Enhancement Division to put on a program or to give an educational program. So,
absolutely.
You can reach out to them for the different programs or to come out to your event. I think because you're coming out to going to the event tomorrow, and I don't think that is necessarily a city-led event, but that's like an organization from just a citizen within the city, and they're participating. So I think that's important to know. Did you have something that you...
A lot of the events that we attend are not city-sponsored per se. Obviously, they're approved by the city.
Right.
But the city is not involved. They're private organizations that invite us out to set up our tables.
Okay.
Or just for a presence, just to come talk to people that show up.
Yeah, so it's important. So if you all have an event, that you can reach out, and it's approved by the city. You can reach out to Sergeant Funkhouser for the Community Enhancement Division to come out. And so this is a good place for us to take our community break, and when we return, we'll get some final thoughts from Sergeant Funkhouser.
Are you considering a career in law enforcement? Sign on today as a Portsmouth police officer and receive up to $1,500 if you're already Virginia certified. We offer a $1,000 allowance for a bachelor's degree and a $500 allowance for an associate's degree on top of your base pay. Officers can also earn additional income on time spent in court and at community events. Visit our website at portsmouthpd.us for more information on how to apply.
National Night Out will be here before you know it, so mark your calendars for Tuesday, August 6th, and join us at Festival Park for the ultimate community gathering. That's August 6th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Festival Park. See you at National Night Out.
We're
back with Sergeant Kelly Funkhouser, and I just want to ask you, what is the most rewarding aspect of your job?
The success stories.
Okay.
To, for instance, a troubled child come into our camp.
Mm-hmm.
To see them be able to get a little bit older and do so well in school and have no problems, just be a good kid, a great kid, that is huge. But just being able to get out in the community and to make contact with people and to have the conversations that matter, it's huge. It's huge. I'm not an office person, so to be able to go to the events and just to get out and ride around the neighborhoods and get out and talk to people, I love that. I love this unit. As I stated before, I was a part of it years ago. It's home. I love it.
Yeah. I know that the people love her too because Port Norfolk, and they treated her like a rock star. they were so happy because I don't think you serve that civic unit or league anymore, or you had taken a break, and they just were so happy and ecstatic that she came back. So,
well, when I was in the unit as an officer, that was one of my neighborhoods that I was responsible for.
Yes.
But I got promoted, and I've been a sergeant for, at that time, 10 years. So I'd been out of the civic league portion of the neighborhood for that long. So when I came back to the unit, and that's Port Norfolk is Officer Henderson's area, he said, "We've got Port Norfolk tonight." I said, "Absolutely, I will go." And it's amazing to see the same faces plus new ones that were at the meeting that were there 10 years ago when I was there as an officer. It was so cool.
Yeah. So that's what she said.
It's a great neighborhood, great people.
They love Sergeant Funkhouser. Do you have any final words? Anything that you want to share with the citizens?
Again, this is just a great unit. The fact that we are able just to come out and be involved in the community and to be in the middle of the events and whatever might be going on, and the fact that we can just help, with, like I said, quality of life issues or assistant inspectors, that's all huge. It's very rewarding to see, maybe a problem area get cleaned up, to have the grass cut down, the weeds cut down, the house, just turn back into what it was, to have new people live there. It's great to just to see it all kind of evolve.
Yeah.
From nothing to something great.
I like that. From nothing to something great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Funkhouser.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening. Remember that this is your city. This is our city. So let's work together to make it great.
And we're hiring.
Thank you.